These two pages end up at almost the same mobile layout. But watch how they get there. One continuously adjusts to whatever space it's given, reflowing as the window gets narrower. The other holds a prepared arrangement, then switches to a different one. That's the entire distinction. Responsive recalculates flexible rules. Adaptive picks from layouts prepared in advance. Now, let's open both systems and see why they behave so differently. Let's slow it down on a desktop. I'll drag the window narrower, a pixel at a time. On the left, the layout keeps adjusting as the width changes. On the right, the overall arrangement holds for a while, then snaps to another prepared layout, holds again, then snaps. Same content, same widths. Two completely different ways of getting from wide to narrow. And in this example, both start from the same piece of information. How much space do I have right now? What they do with that number is where they split. Take responsive first. You build a flexible layout system, not one rigid shape, a set of rules for how things flex, tracks that grow and shrink. Sizing, that's often relative, though pixels, rems, and maximum widths are all fair game too. Elements that wrap to a new line when they run out of room. The browser takes those rules and solves them for the width it actually has. Give it 900 pixels, it lays out for 900. Give it 400, it solves again. And here's something people miss. Responsive isn't just smooth stretching. It has breakpoints too. Moments where you say, once we drop below this width, restructure. Move the sidebar under the content. Collapse the nav into a menu. So responsive can make big structural changes. Breakpoints are not the thing that makes a design adaptive. Responsive often uses them too. The key is what happens between those breakpoints. The layout keeps recalculating, live, for every width in the range. That's why our first site flowed the instant I touched the window. Nobody reloaded anything. The browser was recalculating the layout the entire time I dragged. Now adaptive. Instead of one flexible system, you design several prepared layouts in advance. Maybe a wide one, a compact one, and a mobile one. Each is its own deliberate arrangement. Then the system looks at the available width and picks the closest layout. And here's the part that defines it. Inside a range, it keeps using the same overall arrangement. Cross a threshold though, and it switches to another layout prepared in advance. It's choosing between arrangements that already existed, not bending one to fit. Now, where does that choice get made? It can happen right in the browser. The width crosses a threshold and the page swaps to another prepared layout. It can also happen earlier. A server reads the request and sends a version chosen for that device. That's a real technique. It's just not the definition. The layout strategy, several prepared layouts, and the delivery strategy, where you pick one, are related, but they're not the same thing. Selecting a prepared layout doesn't automatically mean the server made that choice, which clears up the biggest myth. People say adaptive just means using breakpoints. It doesn't. Responsive uses breakpoints too. The real question is whether one flexible system handles the whole range, or the system switches among layouts prepared ahead of time. One recalculates through the whole range. The other selects a layout and keeps it across a range. Here's where you actually see it. Forget clean phone and desktop numbers. Let's test both at the awkward in-between widths. 1100 pixels, 913, 690, 540. The responsive site uses whatever it's given. It stretches into extra room, wraps when it's tight, crosses a breakpoint the moment it needs to. Its rules are recalculated for the exact width available. The adaptive site behaves differently. At 1100, it's still on the wide layout. And in our example, that one was built for more. So there's unused room on the sides. Drop toward 690 and it's holding the compact one, which here starts to feel tight near the bottom of its range. Then it hits a threshold and snaps. Between those thresholds, it isn't redesigning itself for every width. It's holding a layout designed to cover that range, rather than continuously recalculating the overall arrangement for this exact width. That's the trade. Continuous fit versus deliberate, prepared layouts. So, what are you trading? Responsive gives you coverage. One flexible system reasonably handles widths you never planned for. A foldable, an odd window, a screen that doesn't exist yet. The cost is that it's one connected system across the whole range, so a change at one width can ripple into another. Adaptive gives you control. Each prepared layout is tuned exactly how you want it. The cost is that you're designing and testing several distinct layouts, plus the logic that picks between them. More layouts, more to verify. And to be clear, that's not two separate code bases. They usually live in one project. The effort scales with how many layouts you commit to. So, broad coverage and continuity versus deliberate control over a few modes at a higher build and test cost. And which one's faster? Careful here. Picking a prepared layout doesn't shrink anything by itself. If the page ships all its layouts anyway, adaptive isn't lighter. Now, if the implementation also changes what gets delivered, say a server hands a phone, a leaner build, that can be a real win. But that's a delivery decision. It's not something the adaptive label gives you for free. Ship the same code and assets either way, and neither gets an automatic speed advantage. Speed comes from what you actually send, not the name of your strategy. So, how do you choose? For most projects, the first question is whether responsive can handle the experience. If the same content and priorities still make sense across screen sizes, the interface has to survive unpredictable widths, and one flexible system can reorganize things well enough. It usually can. A blog, a documentation site, a news page where the same information stays important, that leans responsive. Lean toward adaptive or a hybrid when the phone and desktop experiences are genuinely different. A dense app where the mobile flow is almost its own product, or a checkout you want hand tuned for a few important layout modes. But notice, that's about the experience, not the category. Plenty of shops and streaming sites are perfectly responsive. And the most common real answer? Both. Pick a broad layout for the big shifts. Then let responsive behavior handle everything inside it. So here's the rule to keep: don't count breakpoints. Ask one question: does one flexible system recalculate for the space available? Or does the system select from layouts prepared in advance? Responsive recalculates. Adaptive selects. Your units, your breakpoints, and whether a server is involved. Those are choices made inside that strategy. One last thread, because the ground is shifting. For years, most responsive breakpoints were written against the viewport, the browser window. Container queries let a component make that call from the size of its own container instead. So, the same card can arrange itself one way in a sidebar and another in the main column, on one screen, at once. That's the next video. If you like seeing what your layout is really doing underneath the CSS, subscribe. That's the whole point of this channel.